Hello everyone, my name is Christian and welcome back to my hobby blog. I'm excited today because I'm going to be talking about a book that I just finished last night, and this will be spoiler free for the probably first half of this because I want people who haven't read the book to be able to watch this and kind of gauge sort of when they should read this because this is within the Malazan world. But towards the end of the video, I will say, hey, spoiler, spoilers abound, upcoming, and then I'll jump into it. But I will give a warning before I go into that. And first and foremost, just to give my initial reaction, I loved this book. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I ended up reading it in under a week or so. I read about half the book over the weekend, and then last night I had about 200 pages left, and I ended up binging it from the moment I got home from work all the way till I basically went to bed past midnight. And I had many dreams about Malazan. That does not happen often after reading. It's me having dreams about the books I've read, but I really enjoyed this one. I think it is absolutely essential to read if you are reading through the Malazan Book of the Fallen, because there's a lot of crossover with the main books as well. A lot of main characters show up. And I will not say who yet. I don't want to go into spoilers, but these characters are quite central to the storyline within Malazan Book of the Fallen. So I think this is absolutely essential. And when should you read this? I would say minimum... honestly, it's not even a minimum time you can read it. There's only one spot you can read this, which is after book 7, because throughout this book there are many mentions of the books beforehand, from book 1 all the way to book 6, I believe, and then towards the end of the book we kind of get more of a firm timeline about when this book is taking place, which is after book 7. But before book 8. I haven't read book 8. I have not started that. I'm reading that at some point this week, I believe. I'm starting Live Ship Traders book 3 as well this week. So I'm not sure what the timing will be for that. But I thought the characters were absolutely great in this book. I heard some complaints about the character Kyle, who is a kid beginning out in this book. And he kind of grows up along with the Crimson Guard. And we kind of get to see how this organization works through his eyes. And I think it's absolutely fascinating. I love the character of Greymane as well. Stora was great. I really enjoyed Hurl, who is probably one of the most badass women within this book. And there's a lot of them because Malazan sort of does not have the idea of misogyny within the world, because anyone can be a magic user in this world, and no one really has any misogynistic views, which is really refreshing. But people are still assholes. Most of the characters are assholes in some way, but Hell was just so much fun. I loved reading her POVs, and we also get a lot of crossovers with other books, and I really enjoyed those POVs as well. And the magic in this book was just amazing. There were multiple parts where I was like, what's going to happen? How is this going to affect the main storyline? That's what I was constantly thinking of, and it's hard not to think of that when I'm reading this book, because I'm doing a reading order that is basically more by released order. I was using Critical Dragon, or AP's reading order that he had posted, I think 2 years ago or a year ago. A long time ago, in terms of my Malazan reading journey. I think I watched that after I finished book 2, because I didn't know when the side novels were supposed to be read. And I agree with his point that reading it in chronological order of when they were released is a really good idea, because both authors knew exactly what the other authors had written and sort of knew what information the readers had. So you sort of get a lot of explanation within these side novels, because it's sort of just re-emphasizing the most important points about the series. And I really enjoy that about Cam Esslemont's book, especially Return of the Crimson Guard, because there were a lot of little things that I did not fully understand. I still don't fully understand, like, the way that Warrens work, the magic. And also, in terms of characters, as I mentioned, there's a lot of crossover with the main books. Uh, there's a lot of timeline things that I just have not been paying attention to. So there's a few characters that show up from the Malazan Book of the Fallen where I'm like, where were they last? Where were they last when I read them in the main books? How did they get here? Why are they here? Because there was two characters specifically where I was just like, how are they? Why are they here? One of them, I really understood why they were there, and the other ones, I can kind of suss out why. But the big difference between this novel and the rest of them is that this one takes place on the continent of Quantali. I hope I said that right, but this land or continent is one that we have not really visited all that much. And I really enjoyed seeing the different cities and towns, and also the port cities that we see, because one thing that happens a lot in Cam's books, and it's on about every cover of his, on his series, is there's a boat on the cover. There's a lot of boat travel in his series, and I really love those chapters because that's when we really get to hang out with our characters, get to learn more about them, the background. It's just, I really enjoy it. I for those who don't know, I've read The Wheel of Time twice now. And the first time I was reading it, when I read Crossroads of Twilight, which is regarded as one of the worst books of the series, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of my favorite books of the series at the time when I'd read it for the first time, because it just allowed me more time to hang out with my favorite characters. And this book is sort of the same in that the characters that we already know, we just get more time to hang out with them. And we also get to see them affect the lives of these new characters who we don't really know. And it's fascinating. I love this shit. This is my favorite series ever, Malazan. And at this point, I'm considering this not even a 10-book series, but more of a 16-book series. I think that's how many books are out now. Maybe it's 17 at this point. But these books are very much tied with the main novels, so you have to read this book. And without further ado, I'm going to go into spoilers. So this will be spoilers up from book 1 all the way to the end of book 7. And also a little bit of Nine of Knives, but I won't really be talking about that. So if you haven't finished book 7 and haven't read this book, or you don't care about spoilers for this book, now's the time to click off. Thank you for watching. Please comment below where you are on your Malazan journey. And I would love to hear your thoughts about the series so far. I love talking about the series. I don't have enough people to talk with about Malazan, so the more the better. So without further ado, let's go into spoilers. So probably the big one for me is that Lysine is such a major character in this book. She is the Empress of the entire Malazan Empire, and you see Corbolo Dom as well, her sword of the Empire, I believe his title is. And you also see Mel. Mel shows up and is talking with Malazan, who is sort of his spokesperson, with, I guess is the best way to describe Malazan. And we also get the two characters. These two characters are the ones that I said I was very confused on timeline-wise. So if anyone can help me out there without any spoilers after this book, I would greatly appreciate that. But these two characters are Nil and Nether. These are the two... oh my gosh. Oh, Seti. Yeah, the part of the Seti civilization, and they're both twins, the children. And they have a lot of interesting and intriguing things going on with them, because they're very magical, and they seem much older than they are. We have a lot of characters who just kind of get, shocked when they are talking to them, because they're just like, that sounds like an old person talking. That sounds like somebody who knows a lot more about this world than any child should know about. And I really enjoyed seeing them, and the battles in this book are just amazing. I especially love the battle towards the end at Idrin Valley. I think I said that correctly, Edron Valley perhaps. But all of these characters show up, and Lacine is there, Cobolo Dom is there, Malacrel is there, all of our Crimson God characters are there. And just to set up what this battle is about, and although this is spoilers, you probably already know, but if you don't care about these side novels and just want to know, this is a big battle between the Malazans and also the Crimson God. The Crimson God is a really powerful group of warriors and mages and warlocks and everything. They are also very old. We have Greymane, who's probably like in his hundreds, I believe. We also get the founding member of the Crimson God, Kaz, who is really cool. We kept hearing about him in the main series and also in Knight of Knives, because that's sort of the first book within this trilogy that explores the Crimson God. And I really, really enjoyed learning about the Crimson God. And I think Kaz is probably my favorite of the Crimson God, along with Kyle and Greymane. And Hurl, I believe, is with the Malazans. I can't remember off the top of my head. There's so many characters, I'm sorry. But I really enjoyed sort of this slow convergence between the Malazans and the Crimson God, because as readers, we are cheering for both sides because we love these characters that we are reading about. All of them have such a deep history, such deep character and depth. And I was sort of dreading getting to the end of this book because I knew so many of them were going to die. And in terms of death, oh my gosh. So before I even get into the deaths, I want to say one last character that makes a big appearance in this book, and that is Taishrin, the mage that we see in book 1, who almost dies, and he just sort of just runs off and is not in the picture for the rest of the series. We hear about him every now and then, but he appears in this book, and he turns into a big fire tornado and is just sucking up everything and incinerating, melting everything. And there's a really sad scene where we see one of our characters go up to a bannerman, and he touches him and he just weathers into ash because this conflagration just completely, burned this guy out, and he just shatters into dust when he's touched. And that entire scene, this is why I ended up reading like 200 pages last night. I was going back and forth on finishing the book today, like in the morning, but I just kept wanting to read about it because Taishrin was just unleashing all of his power, and it was just incredible to view. And in the struggle, we see many characters die, but the main characters that I was just very shocked got supposedly killed, I still don't believe they got killed, but Lacine apparently died. Empress Lacine, in a non-Malazan book, the Fallen book. So I don't believe she's dead, but we see her corpse. She gets a funeral, so I don't know what's going on. She may get to the gates of Hood, and Hood may say like, oh, actually, I'm still using you, because the major theme, and this is what me and Philip Chase talked about, so if you haven't seen that interview yet with him or discussion with him about epic fantasy, please go watch that. But the major theme of this series is, or sort of the major exploration is like the way that gods, or the Greek gods in specific, with the Odyssey and the Iliad, influence and use humans for their own plots. And I have a feeling that Lacine is not going to be allowed to just die. She's going to be turned back. She's going to have her soul transferred to another body. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with her. And I'm just really shocked that she is dead. I'm just in disbelief. I don't believe it. And we also see Cobolo Dom, I believe, dies as well, and Malacrel becomes sort of the new emperor of the Malazan Empire, I believe, if I read the end right. And if that's the case, then oh my god, what is that gonna do to what sort of ripples will that have in these main novels? And I keep saying main novels, but they're not really main novels at this point, because this book could have easily have been book 8 of Malazan, in my opinion. But This was written by Cam Esslemont, who is the co-creator of the Malazan Empire and the entire series. So it's not part of those 10 books. But if you're reading this and you are wondering, if you should read this in between book 7 and 8, I say go for it. It is absolutely imperative that you do so. And I have zero idea what, book 8 is going to reveal about these characters, Lacine and Kobolo Dom and Taishrin as well. Taishrin escapes at the end, so he's still out and about. Mel makes a slight appearance in the book, talking with Malik Rel, and it's just amazing. I love the series. I love the convergences that happen, the magic battles that happen. There's a great moment where Kyle is witnessing this battle at Idrin Valley, and he's just like, wow, this is what the other, Crimson Guardsmen were talking about when it came to witnessing these huge magical events, because there's nothing you can do. And there's one character that keeps saying, we're ants, on the ground, and the gods are just stomping above us, and that's exactly what's going on. And God, I just love this book. I was thinking about it for most of the day today when I was at work, and it was just such a great book. It's also really well written as well. You don't really get the same sort of poetic style as Steven Erikson, but you still get a really engaging story. You get really great character building, really great world building as well, and all of that. So I don't know if I have anything else to say, but gosh, I highly recommend this book. This is great. I think I rated a 4.5 out of 5, maybe even a 5 out of 5. I've given about all of the Malazan books 5 out of 5. I think they're all perfect in some way. I would say book 1 I gave like a 8.5 out of 10, but that's only because it was so early in the series and so much of it was confusing, and I did not mind the confusing. I just knew that I'm going to get a whole lot more out of the book once I reread it, and not really as much as my first read. So thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know what you think of this book, and please have a great rest of the day.